Web Marketing That Works, episode 15.
Welcome to the Web Marketing That Works podcast. Come behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments and listen in as amazing guests confess the truth about what really works. Now, here are your hosts, Adam Franklin and Toby Jenkins.
Hey there, it's Toby Jenkins from the Web Marketing That Works podcast. And I'm here with my co-host and mate, Adam Franklin. How's things, Ads?
Good, thank you, Tobes.
This is the show for people who love marketing on the web. You'll be taken behind the scenes of real-life marketing experiments. We're going to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. We confess what's failed and reveal the truth about what really works.
This show is brought to you by our new book, which is also called Web Marketing That Works, and it is now out in bookstores in Australia, America, Singapore, and online. So please check it out. And the show is brought to you specifically by the 33 free marketing templates that come with the book. Now, you can get your hands on the templates without buying the book, so please head over to bluewiremedia.com.au/book. And if you like the templates, then I'm sure you'll love the book, because we'll tell you how to use them and we'll tell you all the stories of how we came up with them and why they're so valuable.
And a big shout out to one 5-star review today, and that is to Signature Clothing on iTunes. So thank you so much for your review there, and thanks to everyone else for your contributions. As we are going to jump into email marketing. We did a podcast, I think it was number 13. So today we're going to dig a bit deeper into email marketing, and let's have a look at that. So, I mean, basically, let's dig into what's been surprising about our email marketing. What have been the things that you've discovered along the way?
Yeah, well, one of the most recent discoveries, I'm always A/B split testing subject lines, and one of the things I've noticed recently is that shorter subject lines are outperforming the longer ones quite significantly. And a couple of examples of that are things like if I put Blue Wire News in square brackets at the start of the subject line and then mention whatever template it is, for example, that we're talking about, that won't perform as well, and often to the tune of like 7 to 10% worse than just actually putting like the name of the template, like content ideas template or communication schedule template. You know, having 2 to 3 words, I'm finding, works a lot better. And I think that's because, at the moment, there seems to be quite a lot of long subject lines in our inbox, and shorter, more succinct ones stand out a bit more in the inbox. But also when you think about emails that you send to friends or that you receive to friends, very rarely do you put a 10 or 15 word subject line to a friend. You very often put 1, 2 or 3 words. And I think that is probably what helps the open rates there.
Yeah, I certainly don't go spelling out the 5 key points of the email necessarily to friends, so that's an interesting idea. And so the next one we were talking about a little bit earlier was just getting replies. How has that worked? What impact do you think it's had on our email marketing?
Well, getting replies, very often I find it's just a hidden gold mine, really, because not many emails actually ask readers to reply back to them. I'm not sure whether they're worried they're going to get, buried under a whole heap of replies and it's going to take too much time out of their day. But really, when you think about it, if you've got people who subscribe to your newsletter chiming in and having conversations with you, then it's such a powerful thing, because you get to know your readers a lot better and they get to know you and they know that you're accessible and all these things. I found one of the best ways to do that is actually doing things like the riddles on our newsletter or like the trivia, because it gives people a social way to start chatting with you, as opposed to, we have tried saying, if you're interested in, finding out more about web marketing, feel free to ask us a question. But really, that's very work focused, and it's a lot less. You wouldn't probably do that at a party and expect too many, or even a business event, and expect too much conversation to flow from there. But if you just get started,
Absolutely.
But if you start just by chatting about a riddle or a brain teaser or something like that, or a piece of trivia, it's just a really low risk, easy way to get a conversation started. And the amount of replies that you get, if your inbox has got 50 or 100 replies week in, week out, they're often different people, but it's just such a great way to, humanize what's going on and for people to get to know you better. So if there's one thing that you do, I would recommend just telling your readers that you are available, even if it's for like the first hour or two after an email's been sent. But I learned that from Chris Brogan, actually. He was very open about the fact that he wanted people to reply to his newsletters, and he actually asked specific questions, very low risk type questions to get the conversation going. And I replied back to him and he wrote back, and it was really cool. I was blown away by the impact that had on me, and therefore we just tried to emulate that with our own emails.
Yeah, couple of points to that. One is I recently subscribed to a non-profit email list, and I got a reply from no reply at non-profit. And to me, I think someone else has said it's certainly not necessarily my idea, but that idea of saying we are not available for you to talk to when you've taken the time to subscribe is quite astonishing when you think of it from a customer service point of view. And there's so many other channels that people want to make contact and develop some sort of rapport and a deeper relationship, that it seems mad not to accept replies, really, when you think of it from that point of view.
It's astounding because I'd say it's like turning up to, say, a date or something with earmuffs on and just wanting to actually talk the whole time, and you blatantly saying, like, I'm not prepared to listen if it comes from a no reply email address. You're literally saying, you can't even talk to me. And it's just astounding from a customer service point of view, as you say, because these people have actually actively said and opted in, I want to receive your emails. Surely that's an opportune time to start a conversation with your readers, but some people don't see it that way, and I think they're leaving a lot of value on the table by not being open to those sorts of relationships.
Yeah, actually the final point I'd like to make on this is, like, you think of how much people spend on research and customer focus sessions and focus groups, and how do we find out what our people actually want? Well, how about you just respond and tell us what you want.
Talk to them.
Yeah, how about you listen to them? And to me, that just makes so much sense. So that's a great idea, and quite surprising too, considering the actual numbers of people who are prepared to sort of take that next step too. I find is really interesting. And
you feel like so much more part of the community when somebody actually who emails you replies and asks for your opinion and then actually listens and replies. It's an incredibly great sense of belonging.
Okay, so what other surprises have you found?
Well, I've actually found email autoresponders to be very, very effective. And it's nothing new, certainly, but I've found that, it allows you to deliver your best information to new subscribers on a very consistent basis. And I've sort of learnt and have seen other people talk about the fact that when people are brand new to you, then that's when they're really keen to find out a lot more information about you and about your company. So having a lot of your best information coming at people, quite frequently in the early stages of a relationship is really good. And then you can sort of scale back and just go into your regular communications after that. But I've been astounded because our open rates and click-through rates over the course of, I think, over 20,000 emails, the open rate's been about 32%, and the click-through, which is over sort of double industry average, and the click-through rates have been 40 to 45%, and the normal click-through rate is about 4%. And so we started off with just one email in the autoresponder sequence, just to say thanks for signing up, and then we fleshed that out to 2 and 3, and now we're up to about 10, and the open rates and the click-through rates are all that high. And so basically what we are offering to deliver to people that do sign up is a 30-day marketing course, and it's basically our way to deliver our best templates to our readers with an explanation of how to use each one, and also delivered in a structure and an order that helps people to work through them every couple of days so that they can build up their knowledge of web marketing and also the tools and everything that they need to use to get their own web marketing up and running.
Great. And I mean, one thing that I would take out of that is that you don't need to have 10 emails in your autoresponder sort of nurturing process immediately. Just start with one and then add to it as you have more quality information to share, I guess.
Yeah. And I've actually deleted a couple of my autoresponder emails out of the sequence because they weren't performing as well. And strangely, I found it quite surprising that ebooks didn't have anywhere near as high a click-through rate or open rate as the templates.
Right.
So I did for one period of time, offered 3 ebooks that I thought readers would find interesting, and the click-through rate was sort of down under 20%. And so I thought, well, that's not resonating as much with the readers. So I took that out of the sequence and replaced it with more templates.
Cool. Very interesting. All right. What else? Cool. More surprises.
Well, we launched our Web Marketing That Works online course in January this year. And what I was very surprised to find out was that, or my assumption was that people who have a very high open rate would be the most likely people to buy our product. And I never expected people with a very low open rate to be buying. But what I actually found was...
Do you mean that by individual account, like the individual has a low frequency of opening? Is that what you mean specifically?
Yeah.
As opposed to the whole database having a low open rate?
Sure, yeah. An individual in the database who historically has opened an email 4% of the time was someone who I would call as an individual with a low open rate.
Yeah, sure.
Just to clarify that.
Yep.
I would have assumed that they, weren't reading as much of our content and interacting with it as much, but actually there was no correlation. Like there was some people who bought our courses that had opened 2 or 3% of our emails and had a click-through rate of 0%.
Wow.
But, they actually, one, knew enough about us to open the sales offer, and even more surprisingly, went ahead and bought it. And I think what I've learned from that is that, there's a certain percentage of your email list that are prepared to buy stuff and take action, and maybe they're so busy taking action that maybe that's why they've got a lower open rate. But also, I think it shows the power of a subject line. Like, yes, they're not opening every single email, but they probably would still see the email from Blue Wire or the email from Adam or Toby come in their inbox, and no doubt they'll actually see, on some occasions anyway, what the subject line says. And there's quite a bit of information, as we know from Twitter. There's a lot you can say in 140 characters. I think in a subject line you might have, say, depending on whatever size monitor or smartphone device you're talking about, but say up to 90 characters. And there's quite a lot you can say in 90 characters. And if people are actually seeing that you're consistently delivering value, even if they're not actually accessing that value, so to speak, they know that you're being generous and contributing information, then I've just found that they do actually buy. So there is a lot you can convey in your subject lines alone. So do take the time to think and to test and to think thoroughly about what you say in your subject line.
Yeah, wow. That really puts even more emphasis on your subject line, doesn't it? So perhaps we can put in the notes some more link to the subject line blog posts that we've discussed in the past, as well as some headline writing resources.
Absolutely, yeah. We've done a couple of blog posts on marketing experiments in which subject lines work best. So yeah, we'll definitely link to that in the show notes.
Cool. Okay. Anything else? There's some gold here, Frankie.
Yeah, well, there's two more points I really wanted to cover on today's podcast. The first is that I found it very surprising that the same content can have vastly different open rates depending on the format that it's in. And the example of that is YouTube videos where we've interviewed industry experts or industry thought leaders or whatever word you want to describe them. And then we've also put that exact same content and package it up as an ebook in terms of like a transcription of that exact same interview. And it was amazing because the YouTube videos, when we linked directly to them, only had a sort of click-through rate of about 4 to 7%, whereas the exact same content delivered as an ebook would have a click-through rate of closer to 20%. So it's exactly the same content, but for some reason, people gravitated more to clicking through to an ebook as opposed to clicking through to a video.
And what do you reckon the theory is there?
Well, I don't really know, to be honest, but what I can sort of guess is that different people prefer stuff in different formats, and sometimes people might be, not have their earphones with them or not have a high-speed internet connection, so maybe the YouTube video may not be as appealing, but they can just click on an ebook and save it to their computer or save it to their phone and read through it at their convenience. But really, I just think people prefer content in different formats. So it's a really nice thing to do for your readers, is to repackage your content in different formats so that they can interact with it however they're most comfortable. So you could do a video, you could take that audio out and put it as a podcast, or you could do it as an ebook or a blog post with a transcription of that interview, but really package it up in lots of different ways so that your readers have that choice, because you might be leaving a lot of, readership, so to speak, on the table by only delivering a YouTube video as a YouTube video. You might get that message or that piece of content across in, to a lot more people by simply repurposing it.
I mean, there's certainly other advantages to it too, like having search engine, in terms of search engine keywords and content that is useful for your search engine ranking. I mean, your YouTube video itself is, but having those words on pages or in a blog post certainly adds to some of the value there as well. So you don't want to leave that on the table either.
Yeah, true. The SEO value is worth considering as well. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, there's one more then that you wanted to dig into. So hit us.
Okay. The final point I wanted to make was that I found, there's so much that we can learn through trial and error, doing stuff ourselves. But one of the best things that I found is, rather than learn from our own mistakes, let's learn from other people's mistakes. And a really nifty tip that I have is to actually follow what a lot of marketers are doing with their own email marketing. And I'm a marketing nerd, so I actually subscribe to loads and loads of different marketers, whether they're web marketers or just people in their own specific niche that are very good at marketing. And you could pay lots of money to do email marketing courses, but really if you subscribe to these people, then every single day you're getting examples of well-written email copy. You're learning about the frequency that these people send stuff to you. You're learning about subject lines and from names and email formats, whether they're text only or whether they've got video in it or whether they're linking off to templates or ebooks. And you can actually just observe what these people are doing for free. And I tend to find that, you learn so much from these people, about width and text only, all these things that you're basically getting, a masterclass in email marketing every day that you look into your inbox, especially the promotions folder or the promotions tab in Gmail that I use to put them all over to one side so I can delve into them at my convenience. But I've been a particular fan of Ramit Sethi's email marketing at the moment. He's got the book I Will Teach You to Be Rich and a blog by the same name. But I just find what he does and the way he communicates with I think over 200,000 subscribers.
Wow.
And he's so analytical, and I've been following, the stuff that he does, because just to be able to look at certain parts and try and emulate that in my own email marketing makes so much sense, because he sends millions of emails, for example. He sells lots of great products and courses and has, 98% of his content is free. But just to be able to follow these people and then pick bits out and try and emulate that, I find is a really good way to fast track, I guess, the learning process and learn from some real experts.
I mean, in that example, particularly with email marketing, you're probably getting their cutting edge thinking even before they've packaged it up into a product, which they often do, that you can then buy, or a presentation that they then go and, you pay hundreds of dollars for. What you're getting is where their thinking is at right this very minute, as in today.
Yeah.
Which is phenomenal. You're getting it ahead of any paid product that you could possibly buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And to take the time to read through some of them and absorb what you can, I just find it's just like, world-class thinking for free, delivered in real time exactly as they're sort of doing it. So that's my sort of pro tip for email marketing I'm particularly into at the moment.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, cool, mate. Well, that's really good. Was there anything else that you sort of wanted to pull out of that or summarise particularly? No,
look, I think I've covered the main points there. It's always be testing and measuring what you're doing. It's if that's what you find fun, which I do. Yep. If you don't find it so much fun, just mimic and follow what other experts are doing and implement that into your own stuff, because they're obviously doing something right. So that's a great shortcut. Yeah, that's actually there's the two options there for anyone depending on your preference, really. Well, thanks very much, mate. I think that that really
adds on to that additional sort of the previous podcast, that really adds some depth into what we discussed in that previous one, where we jumped into some, but that is some real detail. So that's really cool to hear it. And thanks for your ongoing experiments too. Much appreciated.
No, that's cool. No worries at all. Well, that brings the show to an end. This show was brought to you by our book, Web Marketing That Works, and the bonus templates that go with it. So download them at bluewiremedia.com.au/book. If you like the templates, you'll love the book. And our intent with these podcasts is to deliver actionable advice. We're always open to your feedback and questions, so please let us know via email or Twitter. For me, it's adam.franklin@bluewiremedia.com.au or Franklin_Adam on Twitter.
And I'm toby.jenkins@bluewiremedia.com.au or Toby_Jenkins on Twitter. If you like the show, we would love you to leave an honest review on iTunes, please. We'll give a shout out to 5-star reviewers and look forward to seeing you next time.
Cool. See you later.